capital O, capital S, other side, versus we have to reach out to everyone and tell them how much we love them, even if we don't. Well, these are good questions. Our religious path is a path of prayer in which we look not only for answers, for we need firm ground to tread upon, but also for further questions, and questions beyond those. And yet it does seem, says Reverend Long, that we need a person, and dare I say it, we need a brand to rally around. We need a common identity. The negative images are so powerful and clear and uniting and dangerous. We need something that moves us, a symbol, to a common cause. Well, diamond-encrusted safety pins aside, yes, that is a thing. Jonathan David Lawrence posted that a friend of his posted, that probably a friend of theirs posted, this story. So I'm at the supermarket, finishing up my Thanksgiving shopping, and I'm wearing my safety pin, when a Middle Eastern woman walks up to me with her teenage daughter. She looks nervous. She speaks in a very strong accent, but I can understand her. She says, "May I ask you for some help?" Of course, I answer. I have no idea what she's going to ask, and she says, "How do you make stuffing?" I smile. She has asked the right person. I explain it. This is absolute. Bake cornbread out of a mix, add some chicken broth, and then anything you want. Okay, I know. There are other recipes in this room. But there is the add anything you want part. Celery, she asks. She looks worried. Sure, I say. Celery, onions, apples, pecans, other kinds of nuts. I tell her I always put figs in my stuffing. Figs, she says. Sure, I tell her. Or you could put dates in it. Her face lights up. You can put dates in stuffing? You can put anything you want in stuffing, I tell her, and she looks relieved. But how long do I cook the turkey? I have 12 pounds, she says. I tell her to look it up on the internet. No one knows how long to cook a turkey without looking it up. Everyone needs a little help with that. Few more questions. Do you put the stuffing in the turkey, on the side? We discuss which side to put the turkey, up or down. She thanks me. She turns away, and her daughter turns back and nods at my safety pin. She also speaks with a strong accent. She thought it would be okay to ask you, the daughter says, and heads off with her mom. These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves and supplying the answers in the simplest of ways. To pray without ceasing in the way that we relate to one another. Because what we face is large, varied, milling, perhaps like grasshoppers around us. And it can be very confusing. I myself am continually searching for a wholeness, a big picture, something that will put it all into one. And for this I turned to Barbara Kingsolver. It did not make me feel better, but I began to feel I could get my arms around it. She says losses are coming at us in these areas: freedom of speech and the press. We need to be thinking about how we will communicate with one another. Women's reproductive rights. How will we support that? Affordable health care. How will we take care of one another? Security for immigrants and Muslims. racial and LGBTQ civil rights, environmental protection, scientific research, all education, international cooperation on limiting climate change itself, restraints on who may possess firearms, restraints on the accumulation of wealth, limits on corporate influence over our laws, and that is the beginning. We need one another. Every skill that you have, every perception, every insight, every prayer that you make, every question that you ask is desperately, deeply needed as we build together our beloved community here. This is what we will face. We will face it together. We will survive. We will learn from others who have survived. I want to remind everybody that Spain, just a couple of weeks ago, celebrated the anniversary of voting to turn their country into a democracy out of a dictatorship. We will carry on. We will continue. We will continue in the spirit of an entomologist. He speaks of his older brother, with whom he was inevitably in competition throughout their growing up. A few years ago, he says, my brother Steve came to Wyoming, where I live, with his family for a visit. He's conservative, atheist, rationalist. He bikes avidly, he avoids fat, and he plays to win. Me, I'm a liberal, a theistic mystic. I write essays, I like butter, and I play for fun, but we're brothers. So we went off for a day, abandoning all cares, and went fishing on Big Creek, a gorgeous stretch of river that has cut a sagebrush-lined canyon into the prairie near the Colorado border. I know more about fishing than he does, but he quickly mastered all the basics of casting and soon read the water well enough to find the fish. As we stood together on the banks of a deep, still curve of the river, one of us hooked what must have been a 5-pound rainbow trout. The rod bent double, the line whipped through the water, just as the fish exploded from the depths and danced along the surface and broke free. It's odd. I can remember our jubilant cries, our wail of disappointment at losing the fish, our joyous laughter as the spectacle of having encountered such a wonderful, miraculous creature come up to us through the eons of evolution. But honestly, I can't remember who it was that hooked the fish. I think it was me. But the experience was so intimately shared that the memory would not be diminished for me if I learned that that fisher was my brother. In this spirit, we will learn a deepest, deeper, ever moving and living respect, the very foundation for the coherence that we will build together in our world. Let's sing together.